We're back for our daily college basketball best bets here on Thursday, February 26th. We've got a lot of mid-major action today with college basketball with a huge matchup. Obviously, you saw it in the thumbnail. You can see it on the screen right now in the Big Ten over in West Lafayette at Mackey, obviously between the Michigan State Spartans and the Purdue Boilermakers. But other than that, we've got a lot of mid-major action to go over today. And of course, we'll get you covered with that in a second. But folks, before we get into the video, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for some more daily college basketball best bets here on the channel. Again, we are on the final week before the conference tournament start, which obviously that means it's March in about a couple days, like 4 days. So that's when we really start to ramp up. Actually, we're in March in 3 days? My goodness. Conference tournaments start, though, exactly on March 2nd, if I'm not mistaken. Again, hit that subscribe button down below for more. Yesterday, I'm upset. I'm pissed off. We go 2-3. Again, could have been worse, but my goodness. Ole Miss, you suck. That's, you know what? Ole Miss is up. Oh my goodness, they're up 8 points with about 3 minutes to go. They find a way to choke it. LSU sends it to overtime. Given Ole Miss has 2 opportunities at the end of regulation to win the game. They fail on both attempts. Okay, overtime. They're up 5 in overtime, 4 or 5 in overtime. Eventually, LSU closes the gap. They close the distance. It's a tie game with like 10 seconds to go. Ole Miss gets 2 opportunities to win the game again, and they fail. Second overtime. And by the way, LSU hadn't led for about 30 minutes of game time, which is absurd because they never led in the second half. They never led in the first overtime, and they didn't lead until the second overtime, where as soon as LSU took the lead, Ole Miss never took the lead again. You suck. That's why Lane Kiffin left your stupid school. You know what? No, I'm not going to go after Ole Miss. I just hate SEC basketball. Anyways, Wisconsin at Oregon. Oh boy. Wisconsin. I'm sorry. So Wisconsin can go to Urbana-Champaign and beat Illinois, but they can't beat Oregon. Okay, makes sense. Utah State, you don't deserve to be in the tournament. The Mountain West is a one-bid league. Okay? I don't care. New Mexico doesn't deserve to be in that thing. Utah State doesn't deserve to be in it. They're not even included in this conversation. They're not even in the Mountain West. Auburn doesn't deserve to be in the tournament. The bubble sucks. Okay? But you know who doesn't suck? Random shout out. California beating SMU yesterday. Put Cal in the tourney, and hell, put Stanford in the tourney the way that they're playing. It's going too far. Put the Bears though in there. The wins for us yesterday, Oregon State, we weren't going to cover until overtime, so shout out to San Diego for getting back in the game, but the Beavs completely dominate that overtime period. St. Joseph's, shout out to the Hawks, beat George Mason. That was big for us yesterday. And again, Utah State, you suck. You don't deserve to be in the tournament. Let's do it. Before we get into the first of our 5 best bets, NBA best bets are going to be posted later today on the channel. On Greedo Plays MMA or UFC Fight Night Mexico predictions. Brandon Moreno taking on Lonnie Kavanaugh in the main event from Mexico City. Best bets for that card coming out later today over on Greedo Plays MMA. Okay, on to the first of our 5 best bets today for college basketball. We're going to kick things off in the SWAC, as we've got Bethune-Cookman, the Wildcats of Bethune-Cookman, going on the road to Grambling, Louisiana to take on the Grambling Tigers. I'm going with Bethune-Cookman on the road to win the basketball game. This is the number 1 team in the SWAC. I gotta have confidence that they can go on the road and beat Grambling, who is a bottom 4 team in the conference. Ultimately, that's what it is. I mean, we were talking about Grambling the other day when they took on the Delta Devils of Mississippi Valley State. Guys, the Delta Devils were tied at halftime or down by 1 point to Grambling. At Grambling, the Delta Devils, the 2-27 the team that's 1-14 in their conference, they were down 1 point at halftime in Grambling, Louisiana. Okay, if that's the worst team, if the worst team in college basketball is able to do that, and I know Grambling pulls away in the second half, but I don't care. Bethune-Cookman should put belt to ass here. I don't care the game's at Grambling. This is a situation where, yes, the road team is much better than the home team, so we're going to take the Wildcats to go to Grambling and win the game. Okay, Bethune-Cookman, number 1 team in the SWAC. I believe the highest scoring team in the SWAC as well. They are 12-3 in conference play now. 2 of their most recent losses, they've lost 2 out of their last 5, but in those 2 losses were both on the road. They were at Alcorn State, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, at Alcorn and at Jackson State. Jackson State, I get it. I don't love the Alcorn loss. I cannot lie to you. But other than that, they've been pretty good this year in conference play. The other loss comes to Southern back in January, but they've been tested on the road. They went to Arkansas Pine Bluff and won. They went to Alabama State and beat the Hornets. They beat the Bulldogs of Alabama A&M on the road. And then coming into this game, back-to-back victories over, Alabama State, the Hornets, and the Alabama A&M Bulldogs, both of which, though, at home. And now they go on the road for a 3-game road trip to close the season. Obviously, the SWAC tournament will be after these games, and the SWAC tourney starts, I believe, March 7th, I think it does. And by the way, every team gets into the SWAC tourney, including currently the 2-27 Mississippi Valley State Delta Devils. But Bethune-Cookman is in the driver's seat right now to be the number one team. And with a win tonight, Bethune-Cookman actually will clinch. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, yes, they will clinch the SWAC regular season title if they beat Grambling today, which is a massive game and a massive opportunity for the Wildcats. And there's something, again, some extra stakes involved for Bethune-Cookman. This has not been a bad team this season. Even dating back to non-con play, we always talk about the SWAC and the MEAC for that matter, but both these conferences usually, they take the bye games for, non-con. They barely have home games in their non-conference schedule, and they obviously get a bunch of money to play these schools, and they usually start their season, 0-12. Bethune-Cookman, now they just start their year 3-10, but they were able to play a lot of these bigger schools and at least put up some fights. They went to Auburn first game of the year and only lost the Tigers by 5 points. But ESPN, by the way, wants you to believe Auburn's still a 10 seed. They want you to believe that. They want you to believe Auburn's still a 10 seed in the NCAA tournament. That is absurd. They went to Dayton, did Bethune-Cookman, only lost by 9 points. I mean, Jacksonville and Stony Brook, again, those are teams obviously from other mid-major conferences, from the CAA and from the ASUN, but yet Bethune-Cookman's playing those teams to 5-point games. I know Jacksonville's awful this season, but whatever, they had a bunch of guys transfer out last year, but still, right? Bethune-Cookman has played competitive games, and once they got to SWAC play, again, 12-3 in the conference. This is the second matchup, obviously, between Bethune and Grambling. As the first game was played back on January 10th, it was a 9-point victory for Bethune-Cookman at home. Again, that's good enough for me. It's not like that game was, razor thin. Bethune-Cookman took care of business in that matchup again back in January. For Grambling, again, coming off that victory over Mississippi Valley State, but prior to that, against non really bad teams, they lose 4 in a row to Southern on the road, Prairie View on the road, Texas Southern on the road, and then most recently a home loss to Alabama A&M. And that's something to really look at in this game, obviously, right? How does Grambling play at home? I would say better than they do on the road, but that's expected out of most teams in college basketball. For the most part, Grambling is very beatable at home. We've seen losses to Alabama A&M at home, Arkansas Pine Bluff, Southern beat them by 18 points at Grambling. They are a very beatable team at home. I'm not too concerned. Last home victory again came in their last game against Mississippi Valley State, but again, that's the Delta Devils. Now, the Grambling Tigers are led by Antonio Munoz. Munoz, by far the best player on this team. We talked about him going into the Delta Devils game. 21 points in that matchup against Mississippi Valley State, 32 minutes. He's a player that averages 13 this year in his true freshman year from Chicago, Illinois. I will say, last couple of games, Munoz has been turning the ball over like crazy. He had 5 turnovers against Southern, and then he had 8 turnovers, on Monday against the Delta Devils. Jamil Mutlib is their second leading scorer, senior out of Houston, Texas. He averages 11, put up 26 and 25 in back-to-back games against Texas Southern and Prairie View. This is his second year of Division I college basketball, played last season for the Mountaineers over at Appalachian State. But he's been good this year for the most part. Again, though, a very off and on guy. Bethune-Cookman, again, best team in the SWAC. If they win today, they will win the regular season SWAC championship, and they are led by Jacoby Heedy. Heedy averaging 18 points per game. This has been a very great senior for Bethune-Cookman all year long. He started at Bethune-Cookman back in 23-24, then transferred to go playing the MAC for the Chippewas of Central Michigan. Averaged 15 points over there last season, but comes back to Bethune-Cookman, unfinished business, and has scored 18 points per game this year. Coming off of 3 consecutive games where he's put up 25, 26, and 19. I have to imagine he's going to win Player of the Year in the SWAC Conference, given where his team is at and the way he has been playing as well. Bethune-Cookman has been without Dr. Bradley for the last couple of games. Bradley was a guy who played last year over at Arkansas Pine Bluff and played really well. Averaged 20 points per game last season. He's only played and appeared in 8 games this year for Bethune-Cookman, has not played since February 2nd, but Bradley, 6'8", like 2 guard, very talented guy, just has not played since the Alabama A&M game. I can't imagine he's playing tonight, but that's okay. Again, the Wildcats have been playing most of the year without Bradley, so look for a lot of Jacoby Heedy, look for Daniel Ruzon, who also averages 12 points per game. Tyrio Morris averages 11, and Quentin Heedy also averages 10 points per game for Bethune-Cookman. So they get production everywhere, and Heedy, obviously, if I'm not mistaken, brother of Jacoby Heedy, the younger brother, I think. But younger brother, they both were at Central Michigan last year, now obviously both at Bethune-Cookman. Yeah, I like the Wildcats here. I'm shocked we're getting it at near even money. I wouldn't be too discouraged by the fact that, again, we have to go on the road in this spot. Bethune-Cookman has been tested fairly well on the road this year. I know they've lost back-to-back games on the road in Alcorn and in Jackson State, but ultimately, you look at the scoring from both squads, Bethune-Cookman should be able to outpace this team, and you look at Jacoby Heedy, by far the best shooter on the court. I think Bethune-Cookman's able to stretch the court and get their three-point shot going more more than at least Grambling will be able to in this game. And again, remember, Grambling in their last outing against the Delta Devils were tied or had a 1-point lead over the worst team in the net rankings and the Ken Palm in all of college basketball. So I'm going to go with Bethune-Cookman to win this game on the road. I think it's great value right now at -115. Give me the leaders of the SWAC conference currently in the Bethune-Cookman Wildcats going on the road to Grambling, Louisiana, and winning this game at -115 for Bethune-Cookman. On now to our second best bet of the video, we move to the Conference USA. As we've got the Conference USA leaders, just like our last game, we had the SWAC leaders in Bethune-Cookman. Now we have the CUSA leading team, obviously in the Liberty Flames, going on the road to take on the Kennesaw State Owls. Yes, Liberty lost their last game. Liberty lost their last game at home to Western Kentucky. I think it was last Saturday, if I'm not mistaken. Horrible loss. A horrible loss, but a game, though, where Western Kentucky shot near 60% from beyond the arc, got to the free throw line 30 times and shot like 96% from the free throw line. What I will say about that game, that was an extraordinary performance out of Western Kentucky. And I do believe WKU is probably the toughest test for Liberty come the CUSA Championship or CUSA tournament. Sam Houston can 100% get there as well. That team has played really good basketball this year, too, and they can spread the floor. And Casey Nat, phenomenal player. But the Flames are still the favorite. And Liberty, just because they lose one game to WKU, doesn't mean they can lose. They should lose at Kennesaw. I don't see it. Guys, the way I look at this game, okay, and we're going to make this comp one more time later in the video for another mid-major game we're going to go over. But the way I view this game, these are two teams that kind of do the same thing. Kind of. Liberty just does it much better than Kennesaw does. That's just the way I see it. It's immediately when I look at this game and the times that I've watched Kennesaw, I've watched Liberty obviously a lot more than I've watched Kennesaw State. But to me, again, Liberty just does everything better than what the Owls do. Both these teams want to shoot the three-point ball like crazy. Now, Liberty, they're a very good three-point shooting team, and you're going to see Caden Matheny pull up from, Narnia, and you're going to see Brett Decker sit in the corner all game long, and Colin Porter is going to shoot all of his three-pointers too. They want to shoot the three ball. They don't always have to. Like, they will have games where they only take 23 pointers, like their first matchup against Kennesaw State, where they actually only shot 21 from beyond the arc, while Kennesaw shot 36. Again, though, my point with all this being is they both kind of do the same thing. Liberty, though, just in that first game, attacked the paint at will against Kennesaw State with Zach Cleveland, which I'll make a comp that Kennesaw has to Cleveland in a second. But Zach Cleveland, again, has been the difference maker for Liberty. I think early in the season, I know for a fact it's this early in the year, I downplayed the impact Zach Cleveland had on this team. He is massive for this basketball team, obviously, right? The dude's a player, had the game-winning shot at New Mexico State earlier in the year in Las Cruces. Now this team is coming off the WKU loss, but Zach Cleveland has been a phenomenal player all year long for Liberty. You accompany him with four guys who can shoot at all times, and likely Brett Decker, J.J. Harper, Colin Porter, and Caden Matheny. It's dangerous because Zach Cleveland is able to come down with a lot of those rebounds, and against a team like Kennesaw, who's not great interior-wise, you just give the ball to Zach Cleveland and let him work. And as soon as Kennesaw brings two, and as soon as Kennesaw, abandons the corner or abandons an open shooter, Cleveland is a very willing passer as well and a great passer for a 6'7" big. Kicks corner, wide open. There's Brett Decker to hit a three. So that's why in that first matchup, Liberty didn't need to shoot 33 pointers like Kennesaw did. Because again, they'll have games like this where they're completely fine only shooting 23s if it means, okay, Zach Cleveland can work and we can go downhill with Cleveland and we can find easy buckets down low. And obviously we can just attack the rim. But my point earlier about how Liberty is just a better version of Kennesaw still remains. Kennesaw does exactly what Liberty does too. Kennesaw, in this matchup, we're not going to see Liberty, I don't think, shoot 43 pointers. But Kennesaw plays like Liberty. They want to shoot the three-point ball, and that's really, that's where they're best. They want to keep on shooting threes until the game's over, obviously, and they want to get hot from beyond the arc. They're just not as good as Liberty is doing that. Again, we talked about Liberty's great three-point shooting. Brett Decker averages 17 points per game. Caden Matheny, volume shooter. But if Caden Matheny's on, which he was, oh goodness, I think it was the New Mexico State game, he was really good. There's another one too, where I'm blanking on. They were at home where he was shooting lights out. No. Oh, they were on the road. I forget. I'm blanking on the game where Caden Matheny just went, crazy. But regardless, if Matheny gets hot, oh, he's dangerous. Because once Matheny gets going from, again, just, right on the three-point line, he's going to start taking steps back, and he's going to be able to be he's a very willing catch and shooter from way beyond the arc, and he's got that range, right? Brett Decker, I wouldn't say is like a crazy long-distance shooter like Matheny. Decker, better shooter, don't get me wrong, but doesn't have the distance that Matheny's going to have. Decker's going to set up in the corner, and he's, a 50% three-point shooter, probably even better from that corner range. But you get my point, right? Matheny, very volume heavy guy, volume shooter heavy guy. Like, again, if he gets going, he's dangerous. He will have games, though, where he will shoot 2 for 20. He won't get that many shots. He'll have games where he goes 2 for 10, though. I will say that. But my point being with Kennesaw, they just don't have the explosiveness that Liberty's got. And they don't have the overall great three-point shooting that Liberty has as well. Like, they're going to put up shots, but other than RJ Johnson, I'm not too impressed with any three-point shooter on Kennesaw State. They're all going to attempt threes for the most part. But RJ Johnson's really the only guy that you got to be scared of. RJ Johnson averages 14 points per game. He's a 44% three-point shooter. You know, he's their best guy from beyond the arc. I think that's pretty clear. He's been their best guy all year long from that three-point shooting range. But other than that, you're not too concerned about Kennesaw ripping threes. Again, he's going to be your guy. Other than RJ Johnson, yeah, the team's not great. And the problem that they have is that Simeon Cottle, who is their best guy for the entire year, Cottle averaged 20 points per game for Kennesaw. He's banned from collegiate basketball. He got kicked out of the university, and he's being federally investigated right now for point shaving. So that's been a problem with Kennesaw. They've really failed to fill the void left by Simeon Cottle, who even in his last game played 39 minutes and scored 21 points. Game before, he played 40 minutes and scored 28 points. Like, he was the engine that kept Kennesaw running. Again, a senior who, his fourth year of collegiate basketball, averaging 20 points per game. The guy at Kennesaw, and again, he gets popped, or he gets, he's getting investigated for point shaving. It's absurd, and it's the horrible part currently of college basketball. But Kennesaw has struggled to find a consistent scorer since him, other than RJ Johnson. I will say again, Johnson was always that number 2, and you'd have games where Simeon Cottle's dropping 20 points, and RJ Johnson's also scoring 20, and it would really keep Kennesaw in games. But now, just RJ Johnson, they struggle to find a legitimate number 2. So the Owls, coming off of back-to-back victories, beating Missouri State on the road and beating Louisiana Tech 58-55. All I'm saying is if they score 58 points, they're not going to win this game. But that's the thing too, right? I believe Liberty can beat them in any type of game. A low-scoring game, Liberty's won those this year. And again, they're coming off a loss. That doesn't really concern me. It's one loss to Western Kentucky where WKU just got really hot. So unless Kennesaw has one of those games where they're just absurdly hot from beyond the arc all game long and Liberty just can't get anything going and Zach Cleveland's being shut down, I don't think Kennesaw has a path. And going back to my point earlier, I think Liberty just has multiple pathways to win this game. Whether this be, again, a high-scoring game and Liberty needs to keep pulling out those threes. If this is a grind-em-out, low-scoring defensive battle, Liberty's won those too. There's a reason, right? They're number 1 in the CUSA, and I do believe that is going to continue. Again, I think they already have the regular season conference tournament or regular season conference championship locked up. But regardless, they're still building to the NCAA tournament. This is a Liberty team that won the CUSA last season. They are the heavy favorites to do it yet again. And obviously, this is just another step. You got to win these road games, especially coming off a loss. And ultimately, too, I don't believe Liberty is going to lose back-to-back games in the CUSA conference. They were 15-0 going into the WKU game, and sure, they lost, but at 15-1, I would not expect them to lose back-to-back. Huge matchup for the Flames. Again, the win here, I think just like Bethune-Cookman, they can clinch the number 1 seed in the CUSA tournament and obviously the CUSA regular season crown. I'm going to go with the Liberty Flames on the road, overtaking or beating the Kennesaw State Owls. They did it in the first matchup by 8. RJ Johnson didn't play, but Simeon Cottle did. Now, was that one of the games where Cottle was point shaving? I don't know. And also, he was with Kennesaw for 4 years. So has he been point shaving at this school for 4 straight seasons? I don't know. I'm going to go Liberty, though, on the road, minus 130 in Georgia against the Kennesaw State Owls. On to our third best bet of the video. Of course, the biggest game of the day in the Big Ten. You see it in the thumbnail from Mackey Arena in West Lafayette, Indiana. We've got the Purdue Boilermakers taking on the Michigan State Spartans. Give me Purdue. Oh, it pains me. They should put belt to ass here. Guys, Michigan State's not that good. They're not. Yes, they're coming off back-to-back wins over UCLA and Ohio State, and I'll tell you this. If they're playing in East Lansing, they are very difficult. And obviously, Tom Izzo historically has always been a phenomenal, he's just a phenomenal coach in general, one of the greatest coaches ever. But obviously, going into East Lansing and trying to beat him is difficult. On the road, Michigan State has struggled, and obviously Minnesota is one of those. Wisconsin, and that's their last 2 road games up until this point. Again, going to Madison and losing 92-78 to Wisconsin, and obviously yesterday we saw Wisconsin go to Oregon and lose in Eugene to Nate Biddle. Thanks, guys. And then before that, Michigan State goes into Minnesota and loses. Yes, they're coming off back-to-back wins at home, again, UCLA and Ohio State, but you're taking on a Purdue team who just beat the Hoosiers at home by 29 points. Oh, man, pains me. Again, I was not lying when I thought, I was not, I wasn't acting when I said, I thought Indiana had a shot in that game. I believed it at the time. Boy, was I wrong. And woo, the Hoosiers losing to Northwestern at home. What are we doing? Haha. Yeah, I say hello to the college basketball crown. Even though, hey, ESPN says the Hoosiers are still in right now. Last 4 byes? Really? We're serious? Okay. Anyway, I don't think the Hoosiers are getting in. I'll just be honest. Unless they have a monstrous Big Ten tourney, I think it's going to be difficult. Anyways, Purdue at home against Michigan State. I'm taking the Boilermakers to put belt on Michigan State tonight. If Purdue gets hot shooting-wise, they're danger. And it all starts again, Braden Smith, Fletcher Lawyer. If those guys get going, I think Michigan State's going to have a really tough time. I just think in general, Michigan State has a tough time dealing with teams who can score a lot of points, and especially on the road, too. I mean, you look at Michigan State's track record on the road this year, at least in the last couple weeks, they've been a pretty bad road team. They played Rutgers to a really competitive game up in New Jersey, and yeah, they won, but again, that's a bottom of the barrel team in the conference. That's what the second worst team in the conference record-wise right now, third worst. You need a better victory at Rutgers than that. They lost at Minnesota. They lose at Wisconsin. And yeah, again, back-to-back wins in East Lansing. That's great. But again, they've not been a good road team. And now you're not just taking on any team. You're not taking on a middle-of-the-pack team. You're not going to Bloomington for this game like they will be in a second. Or I guess on March 1st, they go to Bloomington where the Hoosiers will look to salvage their season at home against Michigan State. Again, real quickly, I think it's a great spot for Indiana. We'll be back on that because the Hoosiers in a must-win spot, potentially getting Michigan State off a loss at Purdue with their Indiana trip. They're stuck in Indiana for like 5 days, 3 days, 4 days. It's not a bad spot for Indiana. It's not. If they can't win that game in Assembly Hall, I don't know which game they're going to ever win. It's a must-win game for the tourney for them. We'll talk about that over the weekend. Anyways, Purdue, again, it's not like Michigan State's taking on some random-in-the-middle team. They're taking on Purdue here. And again, it's all dependent, to me, on Braden Smith and Fletcher Lawyer. I know Trey Kaufman-Wren's going to do what Trey Kaufman-Wren's supposed to do. Get double-digit boards, get putbacks, create second-chance opportunities, score down low. Right? Purdue is more shifted to Daniel Jacobson over Oscar Clough as their 5. Clough still plays, but Jacobson recently has been getting more and more run. And I'll be honest, I've been impressed with Jacobson. Oscar Clough to me has just been kind of CJ Cox, Omer Mayer are going to play as well. Both those guys 35%-ish three-point shooters. I think Mayer's probably a little bit better. Mayer's a 39% three-point shooter, but those guys are going to come in, and obviously they play quite a bit. Cox is going to start, but they're more than willing three-point shooters. And yes, you don't think about those guys over obviously Smith and Lawyer, who both average 15 and 14 respectively. But if you leave those guys open, they will make you pay. So Purdue's still very dangerous. Obviously, I was talking down upon this team a couple weeks ago, I guess last week, because they lost to Michigan and then played Indiana. But I know for a fact how good this team is. We had them obviously a couple weeks ago going to Iowa and winning. I don't think Michigan State's able to keep up. I know it's a defensively built team. I know they're a physical squad, and they have got guys who can attack the basket. I understand Cohen Carr, obviously, most athletic player in college basketball. Please save the dunk contest. Please. I can't wait. Cohen Carr, Mac McClung in the dunk contest in the next couple of years. Make it happen. He'd probably lose to Mac McClung. And why did Mac McClung not do the dunk contest? Yes, last year beats me. Anyways, I get it. Michigan State plays physical defense. Fears. It's either you like Fears or you don't. Okay, either you really like Jeremy Fears or you don't like Jeremy Fears. Am I gonna straight up call him a dirty player? I won't, but obviously his track record's not great. And, Big Ten announcers, and I think Izzo's even said this himself, like, obviously now Fears is going to be judged a little bit differently in the conference just because, well, hell, he's racked up a bunch of flagrant fouls and he's gotten technicals already this season. Fears is a good player. I think is he the number 1 assist guy in college basketball right now? He may be, averaging 15 and 9.5. He's a great player. But again, he will get caught up into some stuff. Obviously, you'll see him trip a player, so you'll see him knee a player in the balls or kick a player in the balls. It just happens, I guess, with Jeremy Fears. Jackson Kohler's having a good year. Cohen Carr, again, one of the most athletic players in college basketball. You got Carson Cooper underneath the rim. Kurt Tang, obviously, is sitting in that corner all game long, waiting for a three-point opportunity. It's just how they play. I think they're going to be overwhelmed in Mackey, though. I think they will be. I think Purdue's way too much for this team. I think it starts with Smith and Lawyer. Obviously, again, Jeremy Fears is going to draw likely the Braden Smith matchup. I can't imagine him being on Lawyer all game long. But again, that should open up Fletcher Lawyer. I do believe Trey Kaufman-Wren versus Jackson Kohler is going to be an interesting matchup. I just think Purdue overwhelms this team. I think the crowd overwhelms Michigan State as well. And again, they have not been a good road team this season, or at least recently. You don't go to Minnesota and win. You don't go to Wisconsin and win. I know this is way earlier in the year, but, They lost it. Oh, goodness. I'm blanking on the game they lost earlier in the year on the road. But Michigan State has not been a great road team this season. And I think Purdue is going to be able to handle them tonight. Again, Braden Smith, Fletcher Lawyer should come through in this spot. It's a Purdue team that has come off of winning, 5 out of their last 6 games, the only exception being that loss to the Michigan Wolverines. And that's obviously the best team in the Big Ten. I know they just lost to Duke, but still a very good squad. And we've seen, by the way, Trey Kaufman Ryan have these dominant nights back-to-back going into this game. Clough, I will say, played a lot better against Indiana. I just don't know how much he will be playing going forward. But I like Purdue enough in the spot. The team I was thinking of, Michigan State went to Nebraska. How could I forget earlier in the year in Lincoln? They lost that game by 2 points. But again, Nebraska yesterday, my goodness, almost lost to Maryland, but they came through late in that game. Regardless, I'm going to go with Purdue at home. I think they cover the points too. So originally this line opened up at -5.5. I originally made a graphic for this video at -7, but since the line came back down to -6. So again, this line may be anywhere from -5.5 to -7.5. I currently am seeing at 1 o'clock in the morning -6. So I'm going to take that. Again, I think it's playable up to -7. 7.5. Oh, yeah, I probably still would, but I like it at -6. I'm going to go Boilermakers at home at Mackey Arena. Purdue wins this game and covers the 6 points against the Michigan State Spartans. On now to our 4th best bet of the video. We move to the Big West. We will have only Big West matchups from here on out, as we've got the Long Beach State Beach going on the road to San Luis Obispo, California, to take on the Cal Poly Mustangs. I think Cal Poly beats this team by double digits. And like I said earlier, we talked about Liberty versus Kennesaw State and how, Kennesaw is just a lesser version of Liberty. It's kind of what this game is too. Cal Poly is just a much better version of what Long Beach State is. And I say that with the utmost respect. But that's just how I see it, okay? That's how I see this one. I just think Poly is so much better at doing what they do compared to what LBSU does. They both shoot a lot of threes. They both want to get out and going in transition, but Poly just does it much better. Guys, you want to talk about a complete Cinderella story to potentially win the Big West Conference? It's Cal Poly. I know you might laugh at that because, their overall record is, I think, 12-16? Guys, watch out. That's all I'm going to say. They have a legitimate chance to win it. It is a conference currently that is completely up in the air. You've got currently 6 teams, all within a game of the number 1 seed in the conference. Hawaii's 11-5, which, by the way, they could 100% lose in that, cow shit smelling city, Davis, California today. 100%. They're 11-5. UCI's 11-5. Northridge is 11-5. Davis 10-7. UCSB 10-7. Fullerton 10-7. UCSD is 9-7. Poly's 8-8. So they're all kind of in it. We know the bottom 3 teams in the conference are making the tournament. I don't think this is 100% clinched yet, because technically I think LBSU could win out and Cal Poly could lose out. But we know UCR, that cesspool's already been eliminated, and Bakersfield's been eliminated as well. LBSU will be eliminated tonight with an L, and obviously Poly will then officially clinch in the tournament with the victory. That's the only one that hasn't been decided yet. Again, it would take Long Beach State to win out and Cal Poly to lose out for the Beach to get in. It's not going to happen, even if they somehow win this game. Regardless, the Big West tournament, to me, anybody's win, anybody's gain. I mean, this is a conference, again, in terms of standings and, separation from other teams. It's like the Sun Belt right now. If you've seen the Sun Belt standings, I think there's, 9 teams that are all within, a game and a half of first place right now. And they're the conference that does, if you win the tournament at the 14 seed, you got to win 7 games in 7 days. It's absurd. UL Monroe's going to have to try to do that. The Big West, it's an 8-team tournament, but I legitimately believe any team 1 through 8 can win it. And yes, Cal Poly, I believe, has a better chance, I'll say, than UCSD, I think. I think they have a better chance than Fullerton, than Davis, just because they can get hot. And the name of the game in the Big West is to get out and get running. And now for Cal Poly, they've won 3 consecutive games against the top 3 teams in the conference. Well, technically, I think Northridge is number 3 now. But when they played them, they were all top 3. They beat UCI at San Luis Obispo by 6. They beat Santa Barbara at home by 10. And they went to Hawaii and beat the Rainbow Warriors. I was so ecstatic when this happened. I was pumped that Poly overcame all the odds. They overcame the rigging. They overcame the referees. And they did it. They went into Honolulu and they beat the Rainbow Warriors. I'd said it. We've been waiting all year long for someone to do it. And Cal Poly came through. I know Arizona State did it earlier in the year, but they're not in the Big West. Cal Poly does it for the Big West, and they fraud check that horrible Hawaii team, even though Hawaii just beat SB, but whatever. Cal Poly's coming off that. 3 wins against the 3 best teams in the conference, and they're only a 4-point favorite at home? Am I missing something? I don't get that at all. I think they win this game by double digits. I know LBSU runs. Gavin Sykes, I get it. Peter Majstrovic. This team gets out and they run. They are, they are a quick shooting team. They are 15 seconds or less offense. They've played some really competitive games recently, but they've been on the wrong side of these really competitive games. Last 5 for them, they went to UCSD, lost by 3 points. Cal State Fullerton, they were up 10 points at halftime against Fullerton, but the Titans come back and win the game ultimately by 4 points. They played UCI, and UCI beat it by 11. They played CSUN recently, and they only lost to Northridge by 2 points. Again, they've been playing some really tight games, but ultimately they've been on the wrong side of these equations. Cal Poly is going to score at least 85 points. Can Long Beach score 80? Now, I know Poly's an awful defensive team, but these last couple games they've been better. I don't know, something's changed in these last 3 against UCI, UCSB, and Hawaii, especially the Hawaii game. Guys, the Rainbow Warriors never led against Cal Poly, right? That entire game is Hawaii trying to close the gap and Hawaii trying to get back in the game, and eventually they tie it at one point. But immediately then Poly goes on a run and wins the game ultimately by 11 points. But defensively, Poly has just played really well recently, which again is surprising because Cal Poly's always been a team that, they're gonna hit their wide open. They're gonna hit not even just wide open. They're gonna hit 3-point shots. They're gonna continue to run in transition, but defensively they're gonna allow you to shoot the 3-point ball. But recently, again, they've played better perimeter defense. They're stuffing the paint a little bit now. I've liked the direction quite a bit. They're playing really good basketball, and at home against Long Beach State, I don't think this game should be competitive. I know what you can say. Well, LBSU won the first game, guys. That's a long time ago, and you got to consider what Poly's done since that game and the wins Poly has had. And man, everyone just kind of heats up on this team. And in that Hawaii game too, they went through a stretch again, Poly's so dependent on the 3-point ball and the fact that they can just hoist things from Narnia and they'll go in. But that game against Hawaii, they went 15 minutes without hitting a single 3. They missed 8 in a row, 9 in a row. I thought I was watching Wisconsin going to Oregon. But they were able to attack the basket. They were able to find, obviously, easy lanes to the basket. And they were able to attack a team in Hawaii that has, best center in the conference, Big Fish Isaac Johnson, and they were able to still score. I mean, whether that had been, I think it was Jake Davis found some, easy lay-in opportunities, even finishing with contact in some cases, but Hamad Musa, Caden Ward, Bondo, more of a traditional shooter, but those guys were still attacking the basket as soon as Poly realized, okay, hold on, these rims they're like a carnival rim in Hawaii because everything's rigged against you when you go there, so we can't make it on these rims, so obviously from 3, so we got to attack the basket because, Hawaii is not going to allow us to make those shots. Because again, every game ever played in Honolulu is rigged. So Poly attacks the basket and they find ways to finish through contact with no calls, but that's okay because they're playing at Hawaii. But man, there's just so many scorers in this team. Ahmad Musa is a 20 points per game scorer. Caden Ward's a 14 points per game scorer. Bondo's a 14 points per game scorer. And they all shoot in the 30s 3-point wise. Even though it feels like when you actually watch them play, they're better than just 30% free throw shooters. Guzman Vasilix, a pretty good player too. It's a lot of good guys in this Cal Poly team. And Long Beach State, again, has some really good players too. Gavin Sykes, freshman of the year. I would have to imagine in the Big West this season, even though I think he's going to transfer out. Maybe he stays. I don't know. Obviously, it's the team last year that had Devin Askew and TJ Wainwright. This year, it's Sykes and Majstrovic. LBSU is going to shoot the 3-point ball a lot. They're going to push a pace. Again, Sykes comes back from injury in that Fullerton game. He's averaging 17.5 this year. Again, he's been phenomenal all year long. I got to imagine he's going to win Big West freshman of the year this season. I just think this team is overwhelmed at Poly. The way this Cal Poly team's playing right now, the way that they're getting out of transition, the way that they're actually playing defense now, I am very optimistic about this team. And with the win here, Cal Poly then would put themselves tied for 7th in the conference, but if they can win out, I'm not saying they're going to win every single game on their schedule, but hell, after the win streak they just went on, there's a legitimate chance Poly could find themselves at a 4 seed in the tourney, skip the first day of the tournament on Wednesday, and then only be, 3 games away from winning the Big West? Again, it's a long shot, but the way the top of the conference is working, it would not surprise me right now if Cal Poly is that team that just goes on a run in Henderson, Nevada, and wins the tournament. Seriously, it is anybody's tournament right now, and why not Poly? The way that they get going and the fact that you just got to be hot at the right time, that's what they are right now. But I'm going to take Poly in this specific game. We're going to pump the brakes on them winning the Big West. But let's move on to our final Big West game, the final game of the day, with Cal State Northridge at home against UC Irvine. So the entire season, UC Irvine has been my pick to win the Big West, right? I've always considered Irvine to be the gold standard of the Big West this season. Obviously, they were the runners-up last year in the Big West. Different team, obviously, as Jurian Dixon's the only returning starter on this squad. But Irvine last year lost the season series 2-1 to UC San Diego, who obviously made the NCAA tournament and did lose in the first round to the Michigan Wolverines. On the flip side, UCI ended up going to the NIT championship game where they ended up losing to the Chattanooga Mocs. And man, what happened to Chattanooga this season? My goodness. But UCI, for the most of this year, I always thought, okay, they're probably going to win this thing. I liked them more than Hawaii because UCI, they both play really good defense, and obviously every Hawaii game is rigged. But regardless, right, they both play really good defense. But UCI, when they need buckets, will get them more than Hawaii, and we've seen that in the 2 games they've played this season. Yes, Hawaii won 1 at home, rigged, and they hit a game-winning shot at the buzzer, and Irvine cleaned them up in the second game over in SoCal. However, recently, Irvine has really struggled. They've been losers in 3 out of their last 5 games, and their wins are Fullerton and Long Beach State. The Beach over in the Pyramid, and Cal State Fullerton at home in Irvine. The losses at UCSB, at Cal Poly, and a home loss recently by 2 points to UC San Diego. A game that at this point in the season, you just can't drop. Against a UCSD team, which is nowhere near what they were last season. Tate Jones has obviously graduated, and that Tritons team is nowhere near, again, what they were last season when they won the Big West. Irvine's struggling right now. They are. They're struggling to move the basketball. They're struggling again to work the basketball. They're struggling to find easy lay-ins. They're struggling to attack the paint, and they're not a great shooting team. Jurian Dixon's a very off-and-on player. Jurian Dixon considered to be one of the best players in the Big West, and that's well-deserved, obviously. He was the 5th option last year on that team with Bent Leichton, Miles Che, Justin Hahn, again, Devin Tillis, a phenomenal team last year at Irvine, and Dixon obviously stays, and now he's the guy. He will have games where he disappears, though. I will tell you that. The first Hawaii game is the biggest example of that, where he scored like 3 points all game long. But again, it's this recent stretch out of Irvine which really concerns me, I will say. You don't want to be going into the toughest part of your schedule, not in terms of the teams you have to play left, but obviously the toughest part of your year, I should say, at the rate you're going. I mean, they pack a pretty good house into the UC San Diego game, and they lose the game by 2 points, but they really lose it by 5. They were down by 5 with 2 seconds to go and hit a 3-pointer to cut it to 2. So whatever, right? But it's not like it's a lack of a crowd, lack of an atmosphere. I mean, those eater fans, whatever you want to call them, the UCI anteaters, they packed the building. And Jurian Dixon, again, did have a good game against UC San Diego, but prior to that, has had some rough outings. Shot 36% against LBSU, shot 38% against Fullerton, shot 31% against Cal Poly. Again, not the most consistent guy. And he does want to go downhill and attack the rim, but I don't know, man. It's been rough sledding for him recently. I've been really impressed with Darren Saran. I know Saran statistically might not be as good of a player as Jurian Dixon is, but Saran, again, like Dixon, is a guy who's not afraid to attack the basket. He's really impressed me in games against good defensive teams like Hawaii, where he's been able to get tough finishes at the rim. But here's the thing, right? They're playing Northridge. You're playing Northridge at Northridge. Yeah, expect a lot of points. The problem that I have with UCI here, and why I don't think I've ever picked against Irvine on the channel. Why am I not picking them today? The way Northridge is playing, 1, and 2, the style of play that Northridge plays. That does not benefit UC Irvine at all. Playing a Cal State Northridge game at Cal State Northridge, oh hell no. That is going to be brutal for them. Northridge has been on a roll right now. They've won, I think it's 6 consecutive games. They've won 7 consecutive games now after dropping a rigged game at Hawaii. They've won 7 in a row, beating UC San Diego, going to Cal Poly and winning an absurd game where they choked an 11-point lead with 4 minutes to go. They were down by 1 with 8 seconds, only to basically score on their last drive and last possession to win the game by 1. They then beat that cesspool UC Riverside. They blew out Hawaii because they are island frauds over with the Rainbow Warriors. They went to Santa Barbara, won by 2 points, and I don't love a 2-point victory in the Pyramid against Long Beach State, but a win is a win is a win, so we don't care. Larry Hughes having a great year, averaging 18 points per game for Cal State Northridge. He is the driver of this offense. Josiah Davis having a good year. Joshua Agaro as well. It's a lot of really good scorers on Cal State Northridge. And what I will say, and we had them to straight up beat Poly. I think we had like a minus 130 when they went to San Luis Obispo. They are just a better version of Cal Poly. And again, if they play again, I still think Poly's got a chance because any given night and just the way Poly can potentially get hot from beyond the arc, yeah, they are dangerous for anybody. However, Northridge is the better version of them. Cal State Northridge, if you watch that Cal Poly game, they both do the same thing. They both want to, shoot as many 3-point shots as possible. They don't really play the best defense, but if you're not a great offense like one of those two teams, it's tough to beat them. And that's the problem I have with Irvine. They're not a great offensive team. They're going to struggle against Cal State Northridge because you need to be able to consistently hit 3-point shots against this team, and I don't think Irvine can do so. Northridge, you got Larry Hughes, who shoots 43% from beyond the arc. Oh, man. Josiah Davis is not a good 3-point shooter. He only shoots 19%, but again, he's their point guard. He's their facilitator, averages 15 points per game because he attacks the basket. And then you get Hughes who averages 19 or 18 with the 42% 3-point shot. They've got James Evans, who shoots 36 from beyond the arc. Jordan Brinson, if they need him, does shoot 35% as well. There's some good shooters on this team. Joshua Agaro averages 14 points per game, only a 30% 3-point shooter, but averages 10 boards a game. 10 boards a game for a guard. This is a team that, again, pushes a pace, and they're difficult to beat. And I just think it's too much for UCI, especially with the game being at CSUN. And if you're CSUN, you got to recognize, too, how big of a game this is for you. Because, again, like we mentioned earlier, there's a 3-way tie currently for first place in the Big West. Now, ultimately, the name of the game, you need to be top 2. Because if you're top 2, you automatically are into the semifinals in the conference. So the winner of this game will, for now, be in the top 2. There's still, I think, 3 more Big West games after this. Or is it 4 more games? There's either 3 or 4 more Big West games after tonight. But you got to be top 2 because then you only got to win 2 games to win your conference. Northridge wins, or it doesn't matter who wins. Whoever wins is going to be in that spot for now. And the loser, obviously, is going to be a game back plus the loss to, obviously, who wins this game. And potentially with Hawaii losing at UC Davis, again, I think they probably will, but I'm not confident enough to put it in the video. You could see, Northridge or UCI go into sole possession of first place today with the victory. It is a massive game in the conference, and that's why I believe Northridge has to show up, and the crowd is going to show up as well. You gotta understand how big of a game this is, and just the style of play this game I think is going to create, it's gotta favor Northridge. I expect Larry Hughes legitimately to score 30-plus points. I know UCI is a great defensive team, but just the way Northridge plays and just the way they push, I think it's so difficult for Irvine to keep up. I've watched Irvine a lot this year. Again, they are great at attacking the basket. They will occasionally hit their 3-point shots, but they want to play a slower style game. We've seen this for the last couple of years for this team. They just don't have the overall firepower to keep up with a team like Northridge, and hell, that's how they lost to Poly, right? They don't have the firepower to keep up with a team that's going to consistently shoot threes all game long, and that's my thing again with the Eaters here. If you're losing to Cal Poly, how can I expect you to beat Cal State Northridge? Because Northridge, I'm not just saying that because Northridge beat Poly twice. No, it's because Northridge is just legitimately, they do everything better than Cal Poly does. I'm going CSUN here. We've seen it time in and time out this season. CSUN is very difficult to beat at home. Ask Fresno State from the Mountain West how tough it is to go to Cal State Northridge and win basketball games. Again, 7 consecutive victories going into this one after dropping back-to-back to LBSU in Hawaii back on the 17th and 24th of January. They've not dropped a game since. They blew out Hawaii when they came into Northridge by 24 points. I'm not saying they're going to beat Irvine by 20+, but they're definitely winning the basketball game. By the way, again, Larry Hughes, phenomenal player all year long, phenomenal scorer all year long. Watch out, Josiah Davis just put, I think, 30 back-to-back games, 31 and 21 in back-to-back games. They've got players in this team, man, and they will score. I'm going to go with the Cal State Northridge Matadors winning at home against the UC Irvine Anteaters. CSUN at home wins the game and takes probably sole possession of first place in the Big West. Give me CSUN -115 to beat UCI to close the night. Folks, thank y'all for watching our college basketball best bets here on February 26th. If you haven't yet, though, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. Make sure to leave a like if you didn't. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy the video. Make sure to comment if you disagree with any of the picks. We'll be back tomorrow for more daily college basketball best bets. Folks, thank y'all for watching, and Mamba forever.